Hey, hopefully we're going to start waiting for some people to come in here. This is the Obi Sports Talk Show. I am your host, Obi, going live tonight. We're just going to kind of stay in here for a little bit and see if we can get people coming in and going and coming in to uh, listen to some Buckeye preview about what's going to happen with the Buckeyes this year and kind of talk a little bit about the Big Ten in general, kind of break it all down about how the Big Ten is going to be as a whole. So let's start getting some people in here tonight and chat it up here. Try to get some audience people in here and just try to see if we can get some Buckeye talking going on here. It's talking about the Big Ten as a whole.
Huh?
See if we can start get people in here. I don't want to just kind of start talking about and kind of giving my preview of what's going to happen. Just wanted to, we're going to be talking about some Big Ten football tonight, mostly the Ohio State Buckeyes. Here's my son David. Of course, there's nobody in the room right now for you to say hi to. Why don't you go eat your cookies, buddy, and you can come on back, okay? See if we can start getting some people in here. We've been here live for about a minute and a half and still waiting for maybe people to kind of come in here and see what's going on. Talk a little college football, mostly the Big Ten. If I can't get the stream right, we'll try to get in here a little bit here if nobody kind of comes in. Kind of give people like 5-10 minutes or so to come in here.
What are you doing?
We're going to talk some Buckeye football there, David. Talk about some Buckeye football. Starts up next week and kind of want to get on here and talk a little bit about that and about what we think is going to happen with the Big Ten this year as a whole. And so that's kind of what we're going to do. That's kind of what we're doing right now. So let's just go ahead and dive right in, and I'll kind of loop people back in it as we talk. Looking at the Big Ten, just going to start off right off the bat, just right off with until people start coming in here and kind of getting their take. Let's just talk about. We won't quite talk about the Buckeyes quite yet. Let's move forward a little bit and let's talk about the Oregon Ducks. The Oregon Ducks, they come to the Big Ten this year, and we kind of talked about a previous video about how it will be with USC and UCLA and kind of them thing. And now we got Oregon and Washington, two other teams, or no, Washington coming in. So we're going to talk a little bit about Oregon. They are coached by Dan Lanning. He's 22-5 in 2 years with Oregon, so he's done a very good job with Oregon. They have brought in Dylan Gabriel as their starting quarterback this year, and running back they have a good running game in Jordan James, some good receivers, veteran receivers in Taz Johnson, Gary Bryant Jr., Evan Stewart, and a few seniors in line. So that's what their offense kind of looks like. So it looks like they're going to have a pretty good, solid offense. Really, the thing that we're trying to talk about in their defense, they got guys like Bush and they got Caldwell, Bazia, Jacobs, Johnson, Florence, and Muhammad, and other veteran leaders on their defensive side of the football. So very, very well balanced football team. And so we're just kind of, just kind of breaking them down a little bit. really some of the big questions for Oregon is, have they secured enough on the defensive line for help? They have, with the 4 of last year's top 5 that graduated, the staff elected to just make one defense of linemen, one portal defensive lineman to come in, and that was Houston's Jermaine Caldwell. So they had some young linemen with next to no experience. They did find the Ducks signed 11 blue chip defensive linemen in the past 2 classes, and more than half better be ready, although a couple slipped away in the portal. So their defensive line is a question mark. Number 2 is, what kind of offensive growing will the Pains will come? Will there be? There isn't much skill in the position continually. The portal was Kind's program through their confidence and his staff, but they have yet to reload. And so there's still some newness, and especially quarterback, the running back, and center could only cause for early season problems. Are they really ready for Big Ten football play? You know, they won 15 of 19 at games against their conference foes in the Pac-12. Will they be more juggle this time around, including some new opponents on the road trips, different weather, more humidity and cold, facing some cold weathers? Will they be able to adjust to this type of region for their cold weather? So Oregon will bring. That's what they bring. That's some of the questions that they have coming up. We did try to talk about some newcomers for them, and that is, they brought in the last 2 seasons. They brought Dillian Gabriel comes in at quarterback, starting at UCF and Oklahoma. So he comes to Oregon trying to get into a new system. They have an emerging star in Jordan James, and a most valuable player for them would be Tez Johnson. So it kind of, that's what Oregon has to face ahead of them. And looking at their schedule, they open up with Idaho. They play Boise State, Oregon State, one of their rivalry games. So right off the bat, the first 3 games, they play Oregon State, which I don't think Oregon State's going to be much of a problem. So they should handle that one just fine. Then they play at UCLA. Again, UCLA is a team that's probably not going to be playing very well on the season. It's going to be kind of struggling here and there. So that shouldn't be too bad of a game for them. It's having UCLA on their schedule. Then they play Michigan State at home, and again, Sparty's not going to, and we'll talk more about Sparty. We'll talk more about UCLA, but those 2 teams are not going to challenge them. It's just the way it is. They're not quite there yet, and not going to be 2 teams that's going to challenge them. They play Ohio State at home, and by far, like I'll talk about Ohio State here as more people are kind of coming in here. We'll talk about Ohio State, and we'll kind of go from there. Just kind of talk about some other teams here, but I don't think they could handle. I don't think they could in the long run. I don't think they could beat Ohio State. I think Ohio State's much more superior. They're much better of a team than they are. I just don't think they can beat Ohio State. So I think they're looking at a loss right there. Then they got to go play at Purdue. And, Purdue will be an interesting team. If you're in the chat, go ahead and say hi so I know who's here. So you can kind of and throw out some questions and feedback. We're talking about Oregon and how we think Oregon's going to be this year, kind of breaking down their schedule. I think they're going to struggle with Purdue. I think they'll beat Purdue. But I think Purdue is going to give them a run for the money, and Purdue is going to put them on upset alert. And maybe that's just me. I feel highly about Purdue this year. As we kind of look at Purdue, I think Purdue is going to be a team that's going to, keep a lot of games close and get teams on edge and get teams thinking, oh, boy, is Purdue going to upset us? We're going to lose to Purdue. And let me know if you can hear me, okay? I'm trying to get the voice thing right. So if you can hear me, please let me know as well. They play Illinois. Not going to be a problem. They play at Michigan. And I'll talk more about Michigan, but I see Michigan losing 4 or 5 games at least this year. So I think they're going to beat Michigan. They're going to go in Michigan, and they're going to win, even though it's a November game. Then I think they're going to beat Maryland at home. Even though Maryland will probably be a much improved team, I think they will beat Maryland. I think they're going to lose to Wisconsin. I think they're going to go into Madison a little bit colder, the end of November, towards the end of November 16th. I think they're going to lose to the Badgers. I think the Badgers are going to be a much better football team this year, and I think Oregon's going to lose to them, and they're going to finish with a win at home against Washington. So I have Oregon losing twice this year, and it's interesting. I have them losing one at home and one on the road, and that's where I see Oregon this year. I see them finishing with 2 losses on the season. And I'll kind of put them on the bubble of making the top 12, one of the top 12 teams to make the college football playoff. I think Oregon's a very good football team. Don't get me wrong. But I believe they are going to lose 2 games this year. At home against Ohio State, which will be a very close – well, I think it will be a close game. But I think Ohio State will win by like 10 points. And I think they lose on the road to Wisconsin. So that's what my take on Oregon. I kind of touched on them a little bit. Michigan, they have a new coach, and they lost a lot of players to transfer portal, and their schedule is brutal. I think they're going to lose to Texas. I think Texas is way better than they are. They're going to lose to Texas second game of the season. I think they're going to lose to USC. I think USC has a slight edge over them, so they're going to lose to USC. I think they have no problem in Minnesota. Then I think they're going to go to Washington. They're going to lose at Washington because I think Washington's a better team than them. And I see, even though Washington lost a lot, I think Washington's a better team. I think they're going to lose to Washington. They're going to beat Illinois because Illinois is just not good. They're going to beat Sparty because Sparty's just not good. Then they play Oregon at home, and I think they're going to lose to Oregon. Like I already said, I think Oregon is going to only lose 2 games. It's not going to be to Michigan. They're going to beat Michigan. Then I think they're going to beat Northwestern. They're going to finish at Ohio State, and I feel like they're going to lose to Ohio State. I think Ohio State this year is going to beat them, and so I think you're seeing Michigan, as like you see, you're seeing Michigan with. Said they're going to lose to Texas, probably lose to USC. So let's just say that's 2 losses. They're going to lose at Washington. That's 3. They're going to lose at Oregon. That's 4, and lose to Ohio State. That's 5. So that's right there is 5-5. Maybe they pull out one over a team like Washington or USC, maybe. But I have them losing 4 or 5. So, like I said, if you're in the chat, let me know who's in here. Chat it up. There's a chat box is open. Chat it up. Give your feedback, and yeah, let's. Oh, we got everyone on to see. All right, well, let me know in your chat if you got questions. Ask some questions. So, anyways, yeah. So I got Michigan losing 4, possibly 5 games this year. So that's my hot take on them. So, and of course they'll miss the playoffs because they're going to have 5 losses. Penn State, they do have again a team that we're going to run the football on you. Will the receivers be better than last year? Can they finally make the playoff? Those are just 2 big questions right there. And I think I think they're going to struggle with West Virginia. I don't think they did, Jonathan. I don't know I think it's. I know it probably is at least head to head. If it's possible the 2 teams play head to head, it's probably head to head. It would be my guess is how it's going to work. But as I break it down, I don't know. I haven't really heard anything yet, but I think the first head to head is probably head to head. But I mean, right now, if you look at what I said, Ohio State's going to go undefeated. So, and Oregon's going to. I'm McKinley, and Oregon's going to lose 2 games. Michigan's going to lose 5, at least, maybe 4, maybe only 4. Penn State, looking at Penn State right now, I think they're going to lose to the Mountaineers. So there's your first loss right there. They got to go at West Virginia. West Virginia is probably not great. They're probably going to lose at USC. So there's 2 losses. They're probably going to lose at Wisconsin. So there's 3 losses for Penn State. They're going to they're going to lose to Washington. Washington's just better than them. They're going to lose to Ohio State. So 3, 4, possibly 5 losses for Penn State this year. 4 or 5 losses, if not more, for Penn State. So for Penn State's not going to be good. USC is going to be better, but they're still not going to be. They're still not going to be good. Their schedule, they got to play at Michigan, so maybe they lose that one, maybe. But I still think they're gonna win. Wisconsin, even though they got Wisconsin at home, I think Wisconsin will be good. They're gonna lose to Wisconsin. They're gonna beat Minnesota because Minnesota's not good. They're gonna beat Penn State because I don't think Penn State's that good. They'll beat Maryland. They'll beat the Rutgers. They'll beat Nebraska, and they'll probably beat UCLA. And they'll lose to Notre Dame. So they're gonna lose to Notre Dame, Washington, Wisconsin. Oh, they play LSU. So, yeah, they're going to have 4 losses. So, really, right now, I'm just telling you what I think. Iowa, I think more or less. Can the Badgers beat Bama? No. I don't know. I think Wisconsin's a better football team this year. Well, let's just go to football and look at Wisconsin. You know, we're bringing up Wisconsin. Let's look at Wisconsin. Let's see. They do have a veteran quarterback, a veteran running back. Defensive line is pretty solid. They're all back. I mean, like you said, to get Alabama at home. Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible. I mean, Luke Fickell is their coach. Remember, Luke Fickell's their coach. I think Wisconsin could pull off the upset. I think Wisconsin's a very good football team this year. They have probably the easiest schedule in the Big Ten. They avoid Michigan, Ohio State. I think they're going to beat Penn State. Penn State's about the toughest game they have on their schedule in the Big Ten. They do have to play Oregon. That'd be the only one they would probably. They got Oregon at home too. Yeah, I mean, maybe how Wisconsin goes undefeated. I mean, if they pull off the upsets against Alabama, and you look at their schedule: Western Michigan, South Dakota, Alabama, USC, Purdue, Rutgers, Northwestern, Penn State, Iowa, Oregon, Nebraska, Minnesota. Who on there could beat them? Maybe you make an argument. Maybe Alabama, maybe Oregon. But they get Alabama and Oregon at home in Madison. And Oregon will be a November 16th game where temperature could be a little bit colder. Oregon's not used to playing in cold. So I could see Wisconsin possibly going undefeated, maybe losing one game. Really, their toughest games are going to be Alabama, Penn State, and Oregon, and they have all 3 of those games at home. Their toughest road game is at Iowa. Their toughest road game is at Iowa. Or at USC. I mean, how good do you think USC is? Have you been following up? Just how many? Who do you think? How do you think USC is gonna be, Jonathan? Have you looked at USC? How good do you think USC is this year? Because that's probably one of their toughest road games. They have. Yeah, I think USC loses to LSU too. But when you look at Wisconsin's schedule, they have to play at USC. That's their toughest road game. Unless you consider David. No. They can't play with that right now. or they play at Iowa. So maybe if you say USC's not that good, maybe they knock off USC, and their toughest road game becomes at Iowa. Wisconsin maybe loses one game. Definitely if they beat Alabama, you got to think that they're gonna have a shot at only losing one game or not losing any game at all. And they don't play Ohio State, and Ohio State runs the table going undefeated. It's not going to matter a tiebreaker because they take the two best teams with the best records. So Ohio State plays Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game, with the winner being secured the top 4 spot, one of the top 5 spots in the college football playoff. Because Nebraska's not going to be good. I mean, if you say USC's not going to be good, is Nebraska going to USC and beat them? I mean, Nebraska's going to have a freshman quarterback. So that's going to probably hurt them. So Nebraska's probably going to lose quite a few games. Iowa and Purdue are the ones that I think Iowa's going to turn some heads, I think, because they're scared. I mean, they got to play at Ohio State. That's their toughest game. And the rest of their schedule is pretty simple. So you might have a race between Wisconsin and Iowa. It might come down to who wins that game at Iowa between, so. I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of, I think the offensive line will be much better this year. I mean, I was kind of looking at it, and I kind of stared at the offensive line breakdown quite a bit, and there's no excuse this year. I mean, they're juniors and seniors on offensive line, and they did bring in the transfer Seth McLaughlin. He comes over here to play center. You hope that they have improved as juniors and seniors, and I think with Chip's the type of scheme that Chip runs, I think will be different. Well, yeah, the right guard, but you got to figure it's probably Tigger Tshabalala, the junior. He's a guy that they brought. I think they brought him in. You got to figure that he's going to be the starter. He's a junior, so maybe he's been around. Maybe, but the left side is still. Left side was strong. John Simmons, Donovan Jackson, Seth McLaughlin at center. And you do have a veteran in Josh Fryer at right tackle. So if you can kind of, but just stay away from that right side as much. If you're not sure about your right guard, run to your. Yeah, there's not much deep depth. There's really not. That's probably the weakest thing. As I was kind of looking at, there's a lot of underclassmen behind them. But I mean, hopefully your first 3 games we'll be able to get the offensive line. Well, probably the first 4. You'll be able to get some of those other offensive linemen in there and give them a chance to get some actual real game time, playing time. And you can kind of work on the mechanics and against live offense and make those guys better. And you could probably rotate guys in a little bit more, let them face some first string defense, see how they are. Because you're going to have a very good, solid running game. We're going to have probably the best 1-2 punch on the running game. Even if we have to get them to run the outside, both of them have speed. And just kind of have your receivers to block. Because we know our receivers can block. We know we got tight ends that we can block. So maybe just kind of rely on using a lot of the outside running game, and hopefully that they'll be able to pass protect in the schemes that Chip puts together will make a difference. And the development that he's worked with them shows off by the way they run the defense, their offense. So yeah, the depth will be an issue, but like I said, maybe you could see some of those guys get some actual playing time in about the first four or five games before you get to Oregon. You can get them some of that experience to get better and to get the depth that they need and get the work that they need. Um, but really, if you stop and look at it, the way our defense is so good this year, probably got one of the best defenses in the country. And they're probably going to create a lot of turnovers. You may not need your offense to go very far to get points on the board. You might be working with more short fields. They maybe even get score some points for you and take some pressure off early on, so you can get that depth that you need from your offense. You can get other offensive linemen in there. You can get some of your other running backs in there. You can use some of your other receivers and whatnot. But yeah, I mean that's. But like you said, offensive line could be an issue because there's not much depth. But yeah, you can stick around if you want to stick around. We'll be talking some more. I mean, you don't have to leave. Oh, you're welcome. The video will be up here, and hopefully you can come back to it and listen to more if you want to. But I don't see Ohio State losing the game. I think Ohio State's going to go undefeated. I just don't see them losing to anybody on their schedule. You know, we're at Wisconsin will probably be their toughest game, along with at Oregon. But I don't think they're gonna lose to them. Ohio State is by far with Chip Kelly and Brian Howell, receiver coach, and defensive stuff. I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the country. We kind of talked about Iowa. Iowa's probably gonna have one or two losses. Wisconsin's probably gonna have one, maybe none. Maybe they go undefeated. Nebraska, another rough year for Nebraska. Really not much to say. They're just not going to be good. Washington Huskies, I think they'll be one that'll be kind of a surprise in the Big Ten. If they come over the Big Ten. But they're probably going to have 3 losses. And it could come down to how they do against Oregon. IO. So I think they're going to have 2 or 3 losses. Rutgers, not going to be good. Another bad year for them. Even though they have a cakewalk schedule, they may look good pretty. Hey, Superhero Gaming, how you doing? So, yeah, I don't think Rutgers. I think Rutgers they'll start out pretty hot, and they'll hit Wisconsin, and they'll lose. And they'll probably lose to 1 or 2 to UCLA or USC. They'll lose to Maryland. Probably beat Illinois. It's gonna be a rough year for the Rutgers. Maryland, it'll be a little rough year for them as well. I mean, they're gonna have some tough games. They're gonna probably lose 2 or 3. But they're gonna start off pretty hot because they got a pretty cakewalk. UConn, Michigan State, Virginia, Villanova, Indiana, Northwestern. And they'll lose to USC and probably lose to Minnesota just because. So they'll probably lose to USC, Minnesota, Oregon. They're going to lose. And they'll come home. They'll probably beat Rutgers. They'll probably beat Iowa. And they'll probably lose to Penn State. Assuming that Penn State. Yeah, so they're going to have a rough year. But Sparty, a bad year. They're going to lose. They're going to lose a lot of games. They're going to be lucky to make a bowl game. That's how bad they're going to be. It's just a mess in Sparty Town. And it's rough to say that. Northwestern, another one that's just not going to be very good. They just are still trying to figure it out. UCLA, same. They're not going to be very good. They got some pretty easy schedule, but they got to go play. They got to go play LSU. Somebody mentioned about LSU playing USC. Uh, UCLA's got to play them too. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough year for UCLA. If you're a UCLA fan and you're in here, I'm sorry. Minnesota, no, sorry, you're going to be terrible. Purdue, you're going to turn some heads. You're going to make people think. They could be a team that surprises and has maybe 2 or 3 losses, has 2 losses, but they're gonna, yeah. Illinois, Indiana, they're probably gonna battle for last with the Rutgers and Northwestern. It's just their just schedules are just too bad. But yeah, just going back to Super Hot Gaming. If you're still in here, where are you from, buddy? Where are you from, and who do you root for? Ohio State on offense returns 6 players. Chip Kelly comes in to be the OC. Huge move. Me and Ryan Day are good friends, and I think it'll definitely show how well he's done. Will Howard transfers starting quarterback. He did really well in the Pac-12, Big 12, with Kansas State. Kansas State wasn't by far a very talented offensive team, and he gets better offense in than what he had at Kansas State. So I think Will Howard's going to be fine. The receivers, you got Ibuka, Tate, and the upcoming stud with a bright future, Jeremiah Smith. He is just phenomenal. I mean, what more can you say about him? You just watch some highlight films of him, and you're just like, your jaw just drops. Tight end, you got G. Scott is back. He's a big target. Just got to keep his head on straight. I think sometimes he lets his emotions get the best of him and kind of let his head not make smart decisions. The offensive line, which we kind of talked about, is going to need to be better than they were last year. They do have some veterans in there but they need to improve tremendously. They definitely need to improve and get better. And there's no question about that. They definitely need to get better. But yeah, the defense returns 8 starters. JT, Sawyer, Williams, and Ty Hamilton, all seniors. Going back to them, looking at some of these other guys that they brought back. A key transfer in Caleb Downs. CJ Hicks, linebacker. Cody Simon will wear the block 0 this year. Veteran linebacker looking to get some serious play in terms of senior, needs to step up. Jordan Hancock, Denzel Burke, Ignabunuso, Ransom, and Caleb Downs, the big transfer, comes in. So really defensively, they're going to be solid. Probably one of the best defenses in the country. And they're going to go undefeated. And their defense is going to kind of help put them in positions where the offense doesn't have to go very far on the field. The offense will be able to have the points enough to win the games. And Ohio State's going to go undefeated. Like I said, they're going to make a deep run into the college football playoff. Probably getting all the way to the national championship. Facing probably the best team in the country. And, yeah, really take them down this year. I feel like we got robbed when they knocked out Marvin Harrison Jr. Still bitter about that. It's still a targeting call. I don't care what anybody says. But, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of what I think. And, and I'd love to sit here and hear your opinion. We're going to stay on here for a little bit more and see if anybody comes in here. And I'm just going to kind of leave it running. And if somebody comes in and has some questions, I'll be here to answer them. But yeah, it's kind of my take and kind of my preview on what's going to happen. And, as always, is welcome you guys always to come in here and hear me talk some Buckeye football or or any just talk in general. Talk about sports and that kind of thing. And these umpiring crew at the baseball game were terrible. That was close a strike and they missed it. Superhero Gaming. If you're in here, buddy, I'd like to know where you're from. If you have any questions or comments. See, you just came in and just said hi. You can at least tell me where you're from. David, are you still down here? David, what you doing, buddy? You're cold. Do you want your cookies? Okay. Okay, don't do that, buddy. I don't want it in my face.
I found your that you got this.
Oh, thank you. I love some people that come in and talk.
Go upstairs and get some more Oreos.
Okay, no more Oreos tonight.
I'm still hungry.
Well, you can't have any more Oreos.
Can I play your men's?
My what? Those?
Yeah.
No, you can't play those.
Why not?
Because not yet. I said no. Not tonight.
Can I play your scissors?
No.
Well, one time around now.
Well, I know. We're not getting them out.
Where's our nice toy? What name was a toy without? This one doesn't work. The one that I'm
Yeah,
playing
that
doesn't work.
Put the tea set away. So you can go upstairs and get your jammies on.
Playing with my milk.
We're sitting here just hanging out. Got the baseball game on in the background, and Cleveland's losing 1-0 to Texas. Just kind of talking some sports a little bit here. It's maybe more people are trying to roll in. Just kind of chilling a little bit. Stephen Bell rolls in here. We've been about live for about 40 minutes or so, close to 40 minutes. Talking some Big Ten preview, mostly Ohio State, but open to hear some of your questions and questions you may have. You're just coming in here and just joining in. Hopefully, some more people start rolling in here. I don't know how else to get, this out there so people can see it. I can probably try to share to Facebook and see if people start coming in here. Log in here, and then be right with you. What? What's wrong? Yeah, I can't figure it out right now. Kind of just chilling here.
Why do you guys give me toys to play with those?
I know you need to put your tea set
No,
away.
why did you give me
Put the
those
tea.
toys?
I don't know. We thought you wanted them.
Those toys?
Yeah. Put the tea set away.
I didn't want to. What? I'm done. I can't. I'm being over here.
So, anyways,
Can't move this horse.
okay, you need to put the tea set away, and I'll help you in just a second. We're just gonna go ahead and wrap this up here. You know, we've been in live for about 43 minutes. We had a couple people come in. Just gonna let it. I'm gonna go ahead and end it. And if you have more, if you have anybody comes in and watches this, leave some comments. We'll come back and answer them. Maybe we'll just come back. We'll do like a question. If there's a lot of people coming or comment, I'll schedule something where we come on. We can just kind of, you guys can ask questions. Maybe we can kind of set up and you guys, we can figure out how to get you guys maybe phone in and hear you talk. We can kind of debate. We'll figure something out where we can still kind of chit chat. If I get enough people, 4 or 5 people to come in and leave comments, maybe we can set something up where all 4 or 5 of us can be in at the same time and try to find a way to kind of go back and forth with comments. But like I said, we've been about 44 minutes in, and I kind of give my take on what's going to happen. And Yeah, so maybe we can kind of come back later on tonight or sometime before Saturday's game against Akron. We can kind of give a rundown and answer some questions that we may have or you may have, and I can try to break them down for you. All right, guys. As always, it's a pleasure just kind of coming in and talking and getting your insight on stuff. And I always love your comments and always enjoy listening to what you guys have to say because your opinion matters just as mine. My opinion may be totally different than what you think, and you may have a wholly different approach or see a team going a different way than what I said, and that's okay. That's what we're here for. We're here to discuss, debate, talk about it, and there is no right or wrong answers. You could have a very strong right answer, and I could have the wrong answers. Time will tell when it comes to these things, and so I'm always looking forward to you guys' input. And like I said, hopefully, if there's enough comments and stuff like that, we get between the 4 or 5 of us, we can kind of come together, just get on some kind of platform and just find a way that we can just talk, whether it be on phone, just by chat or whatever. But let's do that. Let's try to talk again before the season kind of comes up, so we kind of get an idea of what you think is going to happen on this upcoming season. Hey, I appreciate you guys, and hope you have a great night. And maybe we'll see you again later tonight or very soon, and we'll go live again. All right, thanks. This is Obi out.